Here's my Hitachi sliding compound miter saw. It's a C7R SH. I don't think this model is available for sale in the States. I think the larger one is, but I don't think this one in this size is available in the States. It's a beautiful saw for trim work, and I find it's quite accurate. The reason I really love this saw, though, is because of the way that it's set up with the rails on the side here. Because the rails are on the side, I don't lose a whole bunch of space behind the saw, like on the older one. I had the CB or C8 FB or whatever the older one was. Slightly bigger saw than this, but the rails roll on the back, so you lose like a foot and a half or a foot of space behind the saw, which in my small workshop is a lot of space to lose along a wall. Now, one of the things about this is because the saw is so close against the wall, I'm kind of limited here for the amount of cutoff length that I have. So I solved that problem by making these pins come out here. The whole table with a saw can slide out from the wall. So you can see that. I can pull that whole thing out like that. So then I have room to shoot by everything. And the pins go back in there to hold it in place if I'm going to do that. I think you can see over there in that dust and grime over there that there's more than one hole there. So that works very well. Again, hooked up to the dust collection with a liberal use of aluminum tape there to make everything sort of smooth and sealed. Works great. I got blast gates on all my tools, and I have a switch here for each tool to run each tool individually, set up on the saw with a remote starter, or sorry, set up on the DC, the dust collection, with a remote start. Works very well. Next up is Big Blue, my Resaw bandsaw. This is an older, I would say late 60s, early 70s Hitachi B601. Again, this saw was not exported to the States. I think a different version of it was, but it had a brake on it. It had, the back of it wasn't open. It was much more safety concerned. This is a Japanese domestic model, so they didn't have all that kind of stuff. OSHA doesn't really exist here in Japan in many ways. This saw is an amazing saw for what it does. It does one thing, resaw. You can see the size of that blade. That's a big blade. And let me tell you, when that sucker's cutting through wood, it's cutting through wood. It works great for what it does, but that's all it does. It doesn't do anything besides resaw. The blades are fairly expensive. They're about $100 each, but I can get 4 or 5 sharpenings, which cost about $15 out of each blade if I don't break a tooth or something on them. But so far it's been a very, very good tool. I very much like it. The dust collection on it is okay. Unfortunately, I've enclosed the back of the saw and that kind of stuff to try to improve it, but it was never designed for dust collection in the beginning, so it's kind of difficult. In the corner here right now I got some bicycle stuff because I'm restoring an old mountain bike of mine back into usable condition, so I can start riding it, so I can hopefully kind of control my weight a bit. Here, standing in front of you there, is my collection of Bessey clamps. My good friend Greg Cook, who now lives in Japan, but at the time he was living in Washington State, was good enough to forward them to me when I got an incredible deal on Amazon, because Amazon won't ship tools to me here in Japan. I have a little fridge here that's full of the usual stuff, and all kinds of bits and bobs up and around there, and I got, paint and glue and stain and poly and all kinds of stuff there. I guess there's probably not many brands there except for maybe WD-40 that you guys would recognize, but it's all the same kind of stuff, just different companies. I got my Festool saw there, which is a real help down here when I want to break down sheet goods, because it's kind of hard to run a big sheet of plywood through a table saw down here. I don't really have the space. Now our sheets of plywood here are only 182 centimeters by 91 centimeters, which is about 3 foot by 6 foot. But still, that's a big piece. Here's my collection of hand planes. This one here is a new one to me. It's the low-angle jack plane from Lie-Nielsen, and that particular one there was a gift from Garrett Hack when he came to visit last December, and helped. We had me and a friend of mine, Sugita-san, had a class set up for him to teach some Japanese woodworkers, and then we went up to a place and saw some blacksmiths and did a bunch of stuff, and Garrett brought some planes over, and he was very, very kind and generous enough to gift me with that one, and he gave Sugita-san I guess a number 4 regular bench plane. Just a beautiful tool. I'm still working on getting it super sharp, but I got it pretty sharp, but it's just a wonderful tool. I've got a couple of number 5 jack planes in the back there, regular old Stanleys. I got this one here is a number 4. I guess a Stanley or a Bailey. This one here was a gift from Steve Clardy. When he surprised me when he sent the wheels over for my Phoenix bandsaw, he included that in the mix. I guess Steve's quite a collector of old planes, and he was very kind to do that. Then in the back here I've got my Lee Valley plane there. That's just a wonderful little tool. And then I've got the Lee Valley low angle block plane, which again is just a wonderful tool. And below that you can see all the other turning stock that I have. Bowls I have yet to turn. Those are all rough turned and dried, ready for their final turning one of these days. And above here I got my collection of drill bits and that kind of stuff, and more collection here of turning stuff. This is mainly pen blanks, and another box of pen blanks there, another box of pen blanks there, lots of pen blanks. Yep, and then over here in the corner we have Kermit the drill press. It's called Kermit because my daughter said, oh, it's green, you should call it Kermit. So it's called Kermit. Kermit was bought on auction. Kermit was in rather poor condition when I bought it. I think you can see back up in there, there's a picture I keep on the wall to remind myself not to cut a bunch of holes in the table like on that. I fixed the smile of shame on my table by welding it with the MIG welder. Worked rather well, surprisingly well. And I restored the drill press back to good condition. This drill press was made in 1963, and I was born in 1964, so that's kind of an amusing thing to me anyways. They don't make drill presses like this anymore, this company, Namiki. They make huge, large industrial machines nowadays, but back in 1963 they did make this kind of drill press. I replaced the bearings on it, and there is absolutely no run out on the chuck at all. I was so surprised. It's better than most of the new ones you can buy nowadays. Very much like that. Okay, up in the top here, you got a dartboard up there. I don't use that much anymore. At one time I used to, but I don't anymore. Set of antlers up there. A buddy of mine here is a deer hunter, and every now and then he brings me back some antlers and that. Some I can just put on the wall to look at, I guess, or that eventually probably end up cut up and used for knife handles or for turning stock for pens again. Maybe that'll be something I'll do. I got an infrared heater there that I use to warm it up down here on cold days. It doesn't get that cold in Tokyo, but you know, it gets cool anyways. Nice to have a little bit of heat. Over in this corner I've got my catch tank there for water. That's hooked up to my air conditioner and my dehumidifier in the other room. In the summertime that thing's full all the time. In the wintertime, you know, I gotta add water to it usually, but that's just basically for washing my hands and that kind of stuff. And then over in the corner here I've got my collection of hand power tools, all various drills and jigsaws and sanders and air nailers and all kinds of stuff in there. And oh yeah, I wanted to point out that I do have a fire extinguisher down there, and there's an access behind that shelf that's easy to get into, get in the other room. And over there under that white bag I've got another fire extinguisher over there. So it may not be up to US or Canadian fire codes, but here in Japan I'm doing pretty well, and no complaints anyways. Over here, this is my kind of chic good cart. There you can see the plywood's only 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and all my cutoffs and scraps and all that kind of stuff. Here's my Incra router fence, the LS positioner. Boy, it's an incredible tool. I've only just started to use it, just started to figure it out. There's lots more to learn there and lots more to do there. I'm really glad that I bought it. It's a little bit intimidating at first because, like I say, there's sure a lot going on there with that tool.